Welcome back to MTA Commuter Connections. I'm Terry Owens. Well, everyone is familiar with MTA bus, light rail, and metro subway, but many may not know that MTA is also responsible for the operation of the MARC train service and commuter bus. Tens of thousands of people rely on those services daily, and ridership is growing. Dave Johnson is Chief Customer Communication Officer for MARC and Commuter Bus, and he is here with a look at some of the latest developments. Dave, good to see you.
Good to see you, Terry.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Glad to be here.
Lots going on at MARC and Commuter Bus. Let's start with the ridership numbers. We keep hearing about record months on MARC. What's going on?
Record months every month. It seems that every month we're setting a new record, really on all of our lines. For those unfamiliar, we have services, 2 lines between Washington and Baltimore. One of those lines continues on up into Hartford and Cecil County to Perryville, Maryland. We also have a line that goes west from Washington out to Montgomery County, Brunswick, Frederick, and even into West Virginia all the way to Martinsburg. We're seeing growth on all the lines. We attribute that growth to a number of factors. Price of gasoline, certainly. Everybody knows in the news, gasoline's back up again. We also have a number of what are called transit-oriented development sites that have been constructed at several of our stations on all 3 of our routes. This is where developers build homes and businesses and shops immediately adjacent to one of our stations. For example, Odenton on the Penn Line, a number of units have gone in there, and the availability or the marketing of these homes was take the train to Washington, walk to the platform, take the train to Washington. It's fast and convenient.
I've got to admit, I was one of those people before joining the agency who didn't know an awful lot about the MARC train service, and now becoming a frequent rider. It's just a phenomenal service for people who don't know what it's like to, say, hop on a train at Penn Station and ride into Washington. Give us a sense of what that's like.
Okay, well, at any of our stations, the experience is similar, but we'll take the example of Penn to Washington. Purchase your ticket, $7 one way from Baltimore to Washington. Board the train. It's about a 55-minute trip from Penn Station down to Washington. We do have some limited stop express services in the peak hours that can shorten that trip to around 40 minutes. We make several stops along the way. Passengers board and detrain. Clearly, one of our busier stops is the BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport. A number of folks fly in from all over the country and really all over the world and take our service either up into Baltimore or down to Washington.
And the beauty of this is you can pack a bag lunch, you can eat on the train, and then have a great trip.
Absolutely. We do allow food and drink on the MARC train. You're welcome to bring a snack with you or a soda or whatever you'd like, and just sit back, relax, and watch the traffic on the roads that stopped as you speed by on your way to Washington or Baltimore.
And some of the big news that I know a lot of people are looking forward to is the weekend service that's coming. Talk about what it's going to mean to have that transit option on the weekend.
Well, it's going to be a big option, and really over the years it's been by far and away the most requested enhancement to the MARC train service is weekend service on the Penn Line. And we are in the process of planning and developing that. We don't have a firm target date at this point, but we are working towards that, and that will provide service on Saturdays and Sundays between Baltimore and Washington, and we think it's going to be extremely successful. Between a mix of folks, some folks do work on Saturdays, but I think we'll have a lot of folks that take their families down to Washington for the day, or folks in Washington come on up to Baltimore and go to the Inner Harbor and the aquariums and everything. I think it's going to be extremely successful.
Good. And the administration has made some fairly substantial investments in the MARC train service here as of late. Talk about some of the upgrades that have been made.
Absolutely. We've had investments and upgrades really, again, on all 3 lines. About 2 years ago, we acquired new diesel locomotives. That's made our operation significantly more reliable. The new locomotives, not so much new anymore, they're 2 years old, but they meet all the current environmental standards, so we're part of the MTA's Green Initiative. We're helping to meet that and helping to provide not just public transportation, but environmentally friendly public transportation. We've also invested in new rail cars, 54 new bi-level rail cars, which we'll be taking delivery of starting in November.
That's really exciting.
Yes, that's going to be a big help because honestly, a lot of our trains now are at capacity. I mean, they're full. They're getting fuller, so these new rail cars will make a big difference. Another large investment we've made is at the Halethorpe station on the Penn Line. Formerly, that was about a 50 to 100 foot slab of asphalt. We now have 2 high-level platforms, direct boarding on and off the train. You don't have to go up and down the steps. an overhead bridge with elevator for those with disabilities.
Yeah, so it's ADA compliant now?
The station has never been ADA compliant, and it is now ADA compliant. So there's really some exciting things at Halethorpe. Also, we revamped the station at Edgewood, Maryland, up north of Baltimore in Hartford County, and we made that ADA accessible as well.
Yeah, good. And it's not just the MARC train service where we're seeing growth. Commuter bus is also going gangbusters.
Absolutely. We in the MARC train and commuter bus unit operate the commuter bus, which is the longer distance bus service, using, as I like to say, Greyhound style coaches, the 55-seat long distance coaches. So they run to various points north of Baltimore and also between Washington and Baltimore into the Columbia area, and then also from Washington south into Charles and St. Mary's County.
Where are you seeing the most growth?
Honestly, we're seeing growth really all around on all the routes. If I had to pick out a couple of them, really the strongest growth, there's the 991 bus from Shady Grove to Monocacy. That stops at Urbana and a couple other points along 270. That has really been growing. And then our services from Washington south into Charles and St. Mary's County. We have a bus departing downtown Washington for Charles and St. Mary's County every 3 to 5 minutes in the rush hour. And these buses are full. They're really growing strong, and we hope to be able to make some enhancements in that service in the coming years.
Dave, we've heard a lot recently about the ICC commuter buses and some changes or plans for
Yes.
changes, and what's going on there?
Okay, about I guess 5 6 months ago, we proposed eliminating 3 of the bus routes due to low ridership. However, through a series of public hearings and outreach to the public, we've modified those plans. We're going to keep 2 of the routes and make, at the request of our customers, again, we listen to the customers at these public hearings, and at their request, we're going to make some modifications to the service that'll hopefully make it more useful. And we have seen growth ever since we started this process. We have seen continued growth on the 203 and the 204 route. So hopefully we'll be able to continue that growth and see that service continue.
How big was it to take this to the public, to have them have a say in this whole process?
Oh, it was very important. We want to listen to our customers, both on the commuter bus and the MARC side. Our customer input is extremely important to us, and we make an effort to do outreach in a number of ways, but specifically through this process, the public hearing process, we took in the input and listened to our customers.
All right. Dave Johnson from MARC Train and Commuter Bus, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Up next, MTA is gearing up for the start of a new school year. What that means for your kids, next.